Hello, everyone. I'm wearing this Canucks jersey today in my effort to help the Vancouver Canucks out of their slump. That's my goal. My goal is to bring some good vibes in any way I can.
Heck, they're out of it. They beat the Rangers.
I know, but I wanted to
Okay.
keep going. I mean, obviously beating the Rangers is a huge win, and but I just want to keep that vibe going. So this is my belief in what is, I think, the greatest Vancouver Canucks jersey of all time. So
So let's change it because you're wearing that jersey now to get the Democrat Party out of their slump.
yeah, I don't even want to talk about this. It's been such a depressing day, and
Yeah, and believe me, as you know, I am not a fan of the new president elect. I think he's a buffoon, and the thing I'm scared, and then, I know you guys don't like him. I don't like him, but I'm coming at it from a different point of view, from the fact that I don't believe that he believes in anything that he has said over the last year and a half. So when he gets into that job and he supposedly will have the power to be able to do anything that he wants and do the things that he says he's going to do, I don't think he's going to do them. And then basically he lied to all of his voters. So that's the point of view I'm coming from.
yeah.
But the interesting thing is how people in sport have reacted. Jake Arrieta, who just won a World Series with the Chicago Cubs, went to Twitter last night and commented about how people in Hollywood were saying that they were going to head for the border, and if Trump had won. So he basically said he offered his services to help them pack and to move.
And what bothers me about that is, if this were last year, would Jake Arrieta say that after being beaten in the playoffs by the Mets? Probably not. But he wins the World Series. He's a guy who makes $11 million a year. So clearly he's an average American that has a really good handle on this. Yeah, shut up, Jake Arrieta.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? So
and other sports celebrities who I'm sure Donald Trump doesn't really want a thumbs up from Richie Incognito, but he did get it.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's a bullying football player, congratulating a bullying politician now.
Yeah. Yeah. No, this is why we're talking. I mean, it's I mean, I know there's people out there that are hurting, obviously. And I told my kids today who are very sad because, they're both kids who believe in being good people. And I have a daughter who's, as Russ pointed out before, was I have a daughter who doesn't, I've taught, the anti-bullying thing. Both my kids were bullied at one point in their life. I mean, we've been through this, right? So it's horrible, and we're going through this whole thing. So, I mean, one thing I said is we have to, as the losing party, more than 50 million people voted for this guy, and you have to sit back. And part of our country is accepting the fact that you lost, and no matter what that is, no matter how scary that appears, it is you lost. And there's a great line from Hamilton, oddly enough, which I found solace in today, which is that and this is when Hamilton and Washington are talking, and Hamilton is saying, you can do whatever you want to, you've got, you're the president, you're the best, you won the Revolutionary War, and Washington says, winning is easy, governing is harder. And I think that's what we're going to see through this whole thing. And, it's one of these things that, okay. And it's much harder to be he has a common enemy. He had a common enemy. Now, will he have a common enemy, or will he have to work with his party? Will he have to work with his party to get things done? What'll happen?
Well, I'll tell you what's going to happen that he wasn't expecting. There is one thing. There will be some other millionaire guy out there that will turn into him and hate everything he does and talk about it on Twitter 24/7, and we'll see how he deals with that.
If he sucks, and if he's scary,
we already have that guy, Russ.
We already do.
Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban is.
Yeah, Cuban could be that guy, and so that's going to be something where he's not used to combating that every day, because see, he didn't have to give a press conference every day in the business world. As the president, you do.
Right, and it's the stuff he has to do now is not going to be nearly as much fun as what he's had to do over the last year for him.
And he's so thin-skinned that he's not going to want to accept the criticism.
But I do think he's the kind of guy who will just delegate everything out. And I think that you end up, Pence will be a very important person. Other people will be very important people because he doesn't know diddly squat about a lot of the stuff that he's got to deal with. And he knows that. And what makes successful business people successful is that they know that. And I've been around them enough. They know what they don't know, and they know how to not get involved in what they don't know.
And that might be the country's only saving grace.
And I think that is the country's only saving grace. Yeah. As far as a figurehead goes, it's horrible. As far as what we see, look at the rest of the world. I really apologize to the rest of the world for this, but at the same time, understand that there are over 50 million people who were upset enough to vote for a guy that they don't trust, just in the sense of for the effect of change. So,
and let me bring this back to hockey and make it a little bit of an analogy here.
Mm-hmm. Donald
Trump is the 2006 Carolina Hurricanes. They faced the Buffalo Sabres. The Sabres lost their entire defense to a number of different things. They get through. They're behind in Game 7. They come back and win. They face the Edmonton Oilers, who lost their top 2 goaltenders, and play UC Markkanen and go to Game 7 against them and win the Stanley Cup. Donald Trump didn't draw an inside straight. He drew an inside straight flush. He won 4 states by 1 point. It was just an improbable victory.
It's highly improbable, and Pennsylvania is one of them. And I have a hard.
That's a tough one. I will tell you, in 2006, I didn't pick the Carolina Hurricanes all the way until the Cup, and then I did pick them in the Cup. I did, because I knew they were facing a veteran team, but I also knew that Carolina's first couple of lines were much better and had much better scoring. So yesterday, I picked it wrong. It happens.
Yeah. I mean, who can say? I mean, it's just, we don't know what's going to happen.
Well, the experts couldn't say, and I'm surely not an expert.
No one said. And then the bottom line is, there's people who are very upset, and people who are very angry, and people who needed to do this. Now, whether or not what they're doing will give them the satisfaction that they want, time will tell. And I think that's always to me been the dichotomy of the Republican Party, is a lot of people vote Republican who the Republican policies don't help.
Well,
we're very much a country. I'm sorry, Mike, just finished. We're very much a country split now between urban and rural, and that's obvious. I mean, and there's a totally different way of looking at things if you live in a rural section than if you live in a city.
No, I'll bring this back to hockey one more thing.
Yeah.
This proves to me that analytics is a bunch of crap because numbers do lie. Every poll, nobody will believe a political poll ever again.
That's very true.
Every poll had Hillary winning by 4 or 5 points, and every poll was completely wrong. So
people could have lied, though.
And how many people vote? That could vote too. That's still low. So the bottom line is,
Russ, you know what it is? It was people were ashamed to admit that they were voting for the guy.
Right. So they didn't tell the truth, and that's where the poll.
I think that plays into it too. Yeah.
Got skewed. The only thing I'll say that I hope for people, and this is people for out there everywhere, because it'll affect my family too. People who have pre-existing conditions or know somebody with a pre-existing condition, and I know somebody, if they lose that in their insurance because all of a sudden they don't, they can't get insured for a pre-existing condition, then yes, people with cancer, people with really tremendous maladies are going to be really financially stricken here. And so it's easy to just say, hey, I don't want Obamacare because it stinks. Well, it didn't stink at the beginning. A lot happened to it along the way. But now those are the people we sort of need to protect. If we don't protect them, I would feel really horrible.
Yeah, I think there will be a movement to protect them. I do. I don't see Trump as a Republican at all. And I think that Mike's right in what he's saying about the things he's not going to do. What he said, the wall is ridiculous. The wall's
that's not happening.
Because by the time you even get the wall through, it was going to take another 10 to 15 years to build it. So and by the time that happens, you have so many other presidents in there that are going to say, no, we're not doing this.
But he is going to step up border security big time,
which is fine, and I don't have a problem with that. I really don't have a problem with.
I don't think anybody had a problem with.
No, and everyone thinks border security should be better.
On the surface, nobody had a problem with it. The problem that some of us had with it was just the way we were going to go about it.
Yeah, and we can't be throwing people in trains and exporting them out of the country. Like that's what we're not going to be doing, and that just can't happen because that's not our society, and it really just can't happen, and it won't happen. And it's going to be fascinating to watch. We're at a very historic moment, but like I told my kids and my wife today, whenever this is not 9/11, okay, this is not buildings blowing up and people dying. This is not that bad. Okay, this is scary and depressing and potentially bad, but we don't know. And and I think I'm very proud of the way Clinton and Obama and everybody has handled this so far. I've been like, okay, and that's what makes our country amazing. And that is what I will say at the end of the day, because there couldn't be any more hateful thing than what went on here. And yet they're all saying we're going to peacefully transition this together, and everybody's doing the right thing. And that's where you, as an American, you can have some faith,
And all I can say is this: if I lived through 8 years of Obama, then other people can live through 4. And
right.
Believe me, I am not the biggest Trump fan, but you can live through 4 years of Trump, at least 4 years.
Here's what I would say: it's like going to the doctor, and the doctor tells you have to lose 200 pounds, and you have 4 years to do it. So and
I'm sorry, guys, that we're talking about all this out there because but at the same time, I'm just saying, I think for us in America, and and for you listening or whatever, and if you're feeling like we're feeling, or if you're feeling happy today, whatever it is,
hey, you have a right to feel happy if you are
right.
happy.
No, if you think yeah, but I think it is important to talk to people, because I think that it helps you talk to people and don't just go dark inside yourself on this, because it really doesn't help you.
Right.
And there's a real, and laugh when you can. This Steve Colbert thing last night was really surreal, but the end of it where he said, remember that it's impossible to be scared and laughing at the same time. And that's like something I think is really important, and things like that are just do what you can to get through whatever it takes, just hang out, whatever you need to do.
Hey, I said last night, this was shaping up to be worse than the night before my bar mitzvah. And people were like, why? Why? Tell me why. I'm going to tell you why right now. It's because it was on a Jewish holiday. I was doing it by myself, and I had a ton of family there, and I was scared. Yeah. And that's why. It was a bad night. And the next day I killed it. Right. Luckily, I killed it.
And that could happen here too. And
you don't know.
And
we just don't know. But and I'm proud of the markets too, in a way. Like, I'm proud that nothing. I mean, I know things have collapsed, but it's not collapsing as much as it could. I'm proud of a lot of things that I think that shows our strength of our country. And I think the other thing we have to be happy about is that this friggin' election is over.
Yes.
And the negativity that was being thrown around was worse for us than probably the result of either side.
I agree with that.
But tomorrow Ted Cruz will announce his plans to run in 2020. I'm just glad we don't have to hear Katy Perry, Lady Gaga, Bon Jovi, Ted Nugent, and Bruce Springsteen.
I don't know. I don't know why you say that, because they're all people who just want to make their opinions known. I mean,
they in their way, they want to make a difference.
I mean, I know that I know we shouldn't care. Like, you guys shouldn't care what we think about this either, because what we think doesn't matter either, and what celebrities think doesn't matter, obviously. But the whole point is, I'm just talking that there's therapy for me. I think that's what Russ and Mike are doing too, and it's just you guys we talk to you every day, so here we are. And if this helps you at all, I hope it does. It's not the end of the world, okay? And the important thing for me to tell my kids, and you might have kids, I have a lot of people I've talked to today who have kids who are sad. It's very important to tell them that this isn't the end of the world, that this isn't something that they have to be afraid of, that fear is the great unknown, right? We don't know what's happening. Fear is imaginary, and until you know for sure that things are going to be horrible, you really being afraid does not serve you any purposes. So
anticipating fear is not a good thing.
No, it's not, and it can eat you up inside. And there's a lot of people that are doing that, and it does feel like a whiplash, because everybody was like, oh, this is probably going to work out fine, but it didn't. And then for some people it did. I mean, I'm just talking about my side, and I think either side, I've talked to some people today who are thrilled about this, and I'm not holding that against them either. So I think that the whole point is that we just have to get past the stupid negativity, pray that we never have an election like that again. And I don't think we will, because I think America really, I mean, the fact that both candidates were, so unpopular going into this, like, I honestly believe that, Biden would have killed Trump, and I think that Cruz would have killed Clinton. And I think that But I think what happened here is you had a close race of two people that neither one should have been there.
Yep.
You know, and if it was Biden versus Cruz, who knows what would have happened? It would have been probably a good discourse of ideas and it would have been what we need in this country, not this. Anyway, so that's all we have to say. Let's move on. And I appreciate everybody's opinion and all that. So, and hope you're okay, and try not to be sad with your family. Just try to get everything out, talk it through.
And the webcast is running fine. So
the webcast is running fine. So that's all good. All right, here we go. Let's go.
So the fix worked.
Yes, it's all rigged. Okay. Here we go. All right. Hello, Hockey World. It is Wednesday, November 9th, 2016.
I'm Michael Agello.
I'm Russ Cohen from Sportsology.
And I'm Eklund, and you're watching the HockeyBuzzCast on HockeyBuzz.com. This is the podcast that talks hockey from now on, joining you every Monday through Friday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon to get you away from the crap that's going on in the world. And because that's our job here, so you don't have to deal with all this other stuff. And let's start right away with Patrik Laine again, because Patrik Laine now is the first player to record multiple hat tricks in his first 50 regular season games since. This name has shocked me.
All right. I'm going to go.
Can we get a hint?
His first name was Marek.
Malik.
Nope.
Svatos.
Marek Svatos.
The late Marek Svatos.
Just
passed away Saturday, right?
Yeah.
But that is that is incredible. I don't know how old Svatos is. Probably way up there, right?
He was 34 when he passed.
Yeah. Okay, no, so he wasn't old. Sorry.
His career got really
right. He's a crazy story. That's right. I remember him.
He started really well early, and then
So, but there's Laine, now taking sole possession of the scoring lead in the NHL and completely, running it up. I mean, just it's incredible.
He got a couple of garbage goals. He got some impressive goals, and that's what I like to see because that one game against the Rangers, he had one nice goal and then disappeared. That game he didn't. That game he was all over the place. I'm happy for the guy. I think it's great. I think I told you the minute Winnipeg, I think they have a tremendous, weight that's lifted off their shoulders because now they know Trouba is coming back.
Right.
And it probably gave them a little jolt. And when he does come back, it will give them another jolt.
Right.
Yeah. And like I said a couple days ago, I mean, the task for Patrik Laine is much simpler and much easier than the task for Austin Matthews. All Laine is, basically Paul Maurice is saying, Patrik, see the puck? Shoot it. Go down the wing and shoot it. Austin Matthews has got to play a two-way game because he's a center, and he's also got to create. And he's doing a pretty good job. He's slowed down after a really good start. But Laine is a big winger with some speed and a great shot, and he's having a really good start. But I think when the scales are measured 3 or 4 years down the line, they're probably going to be around the same area. But I still – If I had to make the first pick today, I would still take Austin Matthews over Patrik Laine.
Yeah, no, I would too. I don't think that's a question. I think that, but I do think that we're looking at one of the, more gifted goal scorers we've seen in maybe a decade, like since Ovechkin entered the league, I think this is as gifted as you're going to get. We're going to try to keep the show light today and fun. So I'm going to show you a couple things here. So this is, we're also going to get into McDavid versus Crosby last night and the Flyers game.
And the Leafs getting destroyed by the LA Kings.
Right. Were you in Philadelphia last night for this, Russ?
No, I stayed home.
Yeah, I couldn't do it either. It was just too much.
I was at a party with some friends, and so that was nice. So I didn't go.
Yeah. No. I'm with you. So all right. So this picture is the welcome to the Chicago Blackhawks new Winter Classic jerseys. Okay, so here they are. I mean, I'm sorry, my thing is so crazy, but you get an idea here. What's going on. So so here we have and I think they're pretty cool. I mean, they're really basic, but I like that. I like the fact that they're not trying to go crazy here with something different. They have that old look to them.
Yeah, that's like a circa like early 1970s.
That's what I'm thinking too. Yeah,
that's a Stan Mikita era.
Right. I like it. I mean, I think that. I mean, the Hawks have such a great logo. Yeah.
So who are the guys in the picture? Was that Hartman and somebody else?
I want to say it was Patrick Sharp and Hartman.
Yeah.
I'm not
That
sure.
was Sharp.
Whenever you have, Patrick Sharp, you should use him in your modeling situations because he's by far the
I think you're right. I think
finest looking.
all scrubbed up.
And then we have the St. Louis Blues ones, and these are very cool. All right, I like this one a lot. So here's the St. Louis Blues one.
I saw this one the other day.
All right, so it's here, and this is very much vintage, like.
Yeah, that's 1967, 1968.
Yep.
Bob Barkley Plager.
Yeah, right. The powder blue.
It's
powder
awesome.
blue
and
this is an awesome jersey. Like I don't own a Blues jersey. I will own this jersey. This will be my first one that I will buy. I've never been a huge fan of their logo or their jerseys, but this is something. So that's awesome. It's a very old school.
I like that a lot.
I will say this, and it'll probably annoy Blues fans. If there was a team that had a logo that really needs to be reworked, it's theirs.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
there's more you could do. Even if you want to still go with the Blues music, there's more you could show in that logo to sort of grab people in than just that.
Or you go with the treble clef or something.
Yeah.
Something. I mean, there's so many different musical things you could go with that are really funny. Like it would be really silly, like a fortissimo signal or something, like just things that you could throw in there that would really be ridiculous. I don't dislike them. They do remind me. They are like the Flyers and the Blues came out at the same time, and they have the same logo basically. With the
I haven't read music in years, right? And when you said that, the clarinet side of my head clicked, and it's like. Because I had to learn how to read music, and it was like E, G, B, D, F, and then F, A, C, E. It's like, how do I still know that? I haven't played music in.
Every good boy does fine. All cows eat grass. I mean, that's the other clef which you wouldn't have learned with the clarinet. But yeah, so that's pretty.
The high octaves, that was hard actually.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
Clarinets were for wimps. I played the saxophone. That's amazing.
Yeah, that was
I actually played the saxophone as well. At that age, I did in fourth grade. I was fourth grade. My fourth to seventh grade was saxophone. Then I switched to tuba in the band because there were no tubas, and I thought it'd be fun to play a tuba.
Tuba's a great way to pick up chicks because you're carrying and
especially small ones.
You look really cool.
Yeah. You can't.
That's a sexy instrument. What can I say?
Oh, it is a tuba. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, it
pick up a larger,
so much with it too. Yeah.
Big, beautiful ladies.
I know. The Red Wings won for the first time in 19 and a half years last night in Philadelphia.
I guess it was fitting that it was in the shootout, right? I mean,
yeah, it was. And it was a, I saw parts of this game today. I have to admit, I didn't watch any of it last night. But
this is still a troubling thing though for the Flyers because again, I'm not sure they're making the playoffs, but you don't want to keep having these games that run into overtime, run into shootouts. They have a similar record to the Sabres, but yet we look at the Sabres and say, oh, look, the Sabres are kind of overachieving because of what – and so, I don't know what to say the Flyers are because they're giving away as many points as they have.
Yeah, the weird thing about the Flyers is they haven't played many games in their own division, which is just – so people are saying, oh, the Sabres have an easier division to play in. Yeah, but the Flyers haven't really played in their own division yet. Right. So it's hard to say. They played a lot. They played Detroit twice at home in 6 days. Just baffling. I don't understand that at all.
I will say this too. I saw Tyler Bertuzzi made his NHL debut. Todd Bertuzzi's kid, and so, and he's a different kind of player. Although he still has a pretty heavy forecheck.
Yeah, he has an edge to him.
He does.
I've seen him play in the AHL, and he definitely has a little bit of sandpaper in his game.
He does.
There was a big fight last night in the game. Wayne Simmons dropping Erickson. There were a couple one-punch knockouts last night. Bufflin drops Roussel, and Simmons drops Erickson.
Well, Bufflin will be.
Erickson's a tougher fight. I give Simmons credit. Who the hell wants to fight Bufflin, really?
Well, Bufflin is going to get thank you letters from half the league for knocking out Roussel because Roussel is like a rat of the highest order.
It's funny how Roussel is playing on their top line too, and it's just like there's and he does have skill, but it's really kind of.
But that's also a statement of how I think Dallas is struggling.
Dallas is struggling, and Dallas needs it.
Dallas is in trouble. Lindy Ruff could be in trouble.
There's rumors about Dallas making trades. I mean, Dallas is definitely a team that's going to make moves. As we head into the trading deadline, there's starting to be some things beyond just the fact that their teams will be setting up for expansion draft at the trade deadline, which will make it.
No, it's more for them because
yeah,
they were a team that made moves in hopes of going really far last year, and they they had a good year. They didn't get as far as they'd hoped, but they thought they'd build on it this year. But this year got derailed with a lot of early injuries, and now it's just sort of spotty play, and all the money that they're spending on goaltending is not helping them.
And remember, they bring in Dan Hamhuis on a front-loaded deal. I think it was it's a 2-year deal. In the first year, most of the money is being paid out, so it's essentially a 1-year deal. And maybe if he falls off the planet, that they buy him out. But they bring him in to take a run. Now they've lost Hemsky for the year for like 5 or 6 months, so that opens up that $4 million in cap space. If they're struggling, and I think the question is, Russ, do you think they need defense more, or do you think they need to add another offensive weapon? Because Lukushkin's gone, Park's out, and now Hemsky is gone.
I'll let Russ answer, even though you wouldn't address me on it. But go ahead, Russ. You can answer that.
I think they still need defense. I do, and
sounds good to me.
And because this is a defensive league, and especially in the West, I think they have enough on offense. Are they missing the Shushkin? Yeah, I think they're missing them.
Yeah, and I might not agree with that, but I wasn't asked the question. So the Hampus Lindholm will play tonight. Speaking of things,
yay, Hampus!
Speaking of things are happening, the man named Hampus will finally return to the NHL. Yes, Hampus Lindholm. Big, I thought he was going to play last night, so I apologize to those who I told was going to play last night. Russ, what do you think of this? Not you, Mike. Russ, what do you think of this? The Islanders are sending Matthew
Barzal, Matt Barzal
to his junior team.
Yeah, he played 2 games. I think it's the best thing for Matt Barzal because even though he was getting paid like an NHLer, which was great, he wasn't playing. And if you don't play a guy, you have to send him back. They took way too long to send him back.
Yeah.
I don't know what you could learn in the press box. I disagree with that. Now, if you're going to rest him for 3 games and play him another 3-4 games, that's fine. He played 2 games. I'm not even sure, Mike, did he even play after the game? He had 6 penalty minutes. I don't think he did.
I don't think he did. No.
And then so that's it. You have 1 game where you have 3 minors and you never play again. Now, I blame Jack Capuano on that. That this is not on Garth. This is on Capuano because, and this is the problem when you have a coach that is coaching for his life. Because then all of a sudden, if you have young players like a Beauvillier, like him, he is going to go to players he trusts more rather than players that could be better, but you have to give him a little leeway. He's not giving anybody any leeway now.
Yeah, I agree with that. Mike?
Oh, I thought I was going to ask the question.
You were addressed. It was
I agree with what Russ is saying. I mean, I think the Islanders are in a bit of trouble, and I don't think they really gave Barzal, and I don't think they've really given Beauvillier a good chance to have an impact. They're young players. They're going to make mistakes, but the Islanders are at a spot right now where they made the playoffs. They got to the second round last year. They need to have success. They lost Opozo. They lost Nielsen. They bring in Andrew Ladd. This is a team that's not sort of taking a step back and willing to take a step back and have these players develop. They want to win now, and that's not conducive to having 2 19-year-olds on your roster. So
yeah, that's a good point.
So
I mean, I and right now, see, the thing is, but Capuano's in a little bit of trouble because he's without Hamonic, he's without Pulick. They're the goaltending situation we know about, the 3 goalies, and Tavares is the epicenter of their offense. And if he doesn't have a good day, then they're not going to win. So, and really, I think Garth Snow maybe has to get off his duff and maybe do something here, unless he's satisfied with firing the coach as a change of pace.
Right. Darren Dreger, in what might be the worst attempt at product placement ever in the history of the NHL, said that a meeting at Tim Hortons between Cheveldaev and Trouba without his agent present turned the tides in their negotiations. So that tells you that go to Tim Hortons and you can.
Did they have a double-double or a triple-triple?
Yeah, I wonder what was under the cap lid. I mean, it's kind of I don't know. I just kind of thought that was pretty funny.
But here's the thing.
Yes.
It's not like the agent wasn't involved the whole time.
I know.
You know what I mean? This is
a Trouba type thing to do. Okay, so this is what we were talking about with Trouba. Like, he is not the guy who you would think would be holding out. Like, he is not. Right. This is not. And this is proof of it. This is like I am, because normally at this point, no agent will even let you do that. Like, that's like that would be. But Trouba's like, I'm sure his agent fought him about it. I am positive that his agent said, no, you're not going to do that. You don't meet him without me. That's ridiculous. And yet he does it. So I respect that because, that's a guy showing his own, gumption and his own thing. Here's something that I know, Russ, is going to be dear to your heart. Anthony D'Angelo scores his first NHL goal in his NHL debut. Anthony grew up not too far. I know, Russ, you're pretty familiar with
New Jersey. Yeah, so he's like literally 10 minutes from it.
Yeah, and you've always liked him as a kid.
I have, and I thought the fact that they picked him up was an absolute steal. I forget, what did Tampa give up for that? I mean, it was a part of the trade.
I'll check.
Yeah, I forget which trade, but it was they just gave it to him. I mean, this is a guy who has the potential to have like 40, 50-point years as an offensive defenseman, and you just gave him to a team.
Yeah. Wasn't he part of a draft pick trade?
Yeah, he was part of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm checking right now.
The New York Rangers traded Dylan McElrath to Florida yesterday for Steve Kampfer and a conditional 7th-round pick. I don't know what that condition is exactly, but
yeah, I don't either.
If he plays 30 games.
He plays 30 games and
get a 7th-round pick in 2018. By the way,
can dunk a basketball by next November. If he can do both of those things,
D'Angelo was traded for a 2016 2nd-round pick.
Yeah, that to me, that's a steal, man. That's just.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that's just ridiculous.
I mean, I think of him a lot. Like I think of this this kid who's killing it in Columbus. Like
wait, no, he's not Werenski. Werenski's
not Werenski, but I think of them in similar ways in terms of the fact that they both have shown huge leadership qualities. Like that's what I'm talking about there.
Well, I'll make
for their age. They seem mature for their age.
I'll make a comparison between D'Angelo and another New Jersey native, but I'll give a caveat. I think he's got the offensive game of a guy like TJ Brennan, but I think he's got NHL speed. And because he has NHL speed and creativity, TJ Brennan is not an NHL player because he doesn't have the speed. He's got all the offensive abilities.
Right. Yeah, I think even D'Angelo has better hands, but I see where you're going with that.
Yeah.
So here's the thing about McElrath. I mean, if you have a coach that is not going to play a player, then Jeff Gordon did a great thing for his team because he picked up a depth defenseman, a guy who has a little more NHL experience than Dylan McElrath, and a guy at least potentially who Vigneault was going to try at some point where it was clear he was never going to use McElrath this entire season. Like after that early go in the preseason, it was just not going to happen. And we talked about it. And so he did what he had to do. Now, from an asset management standpoint, is it great that they got him in the first round and they traded him for a guy that's going to play 10 games for you for the year? No. But this is how they can at least salvage it so they got depth on the blue line. And I think that part is good for Jeff Gordon. It's good for Dylan McElrath. I mean, everybody's assuming he'll just play with Keith Yandel now and it'll be just like old times in New York. No, I don't think that's going to happen. I think he'll occasionally get in games. And if he could show that, he shows his physical side and can play a decent defense, maybe he'll play 15, 17 games this year. That's what I think you're looking at with him in Florida. I don't think it's anything more. Ranger fans like him because he's a good stand-up guy. He sticks up for teammates. He's a great guy. And, of course, like Larry Brooks, first thing he did was, hey, let's talk about, the 2010 draft and how, it's like, listen, Larry, everybody's past that. We know who I've talked about it to death, who they could have drafted instead of Dylan McElrath. But at this point, it's a good change for both teams.
Yeah, the question is whether McElrath will be up in the NHL because I know he got sent down and I know Kampfer got sent down. So
yeah, not right away, but I think with injury you could see him.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, right now they have 6 defensemen, and I don't see him beating out. He's obviously not beating out a guy like Matheson. He maybe not an Alex Petrovic or something like that, but. Yeah, I mean, he's a younger guy. He's a bigger guy, a tougher guy, and maybe he fits into the Panthers' scheme of things. But yeah, Kampfer is a pretty good 6'7".
Yeah,
and he's sort of like what they had with Matt Hunwick a few years ago. A dependable veteran who can step in. Not anything fantastic, but you have somebody there and somebody who has experience.
Yeah, for sure. There's a really great article, and not to get political, but this is not political, but it's there's an article on the goaltending coach. I think he's with the Ducks, I think. I think he's with the Ducks or the AHL affiliate of the Ducks. I think he's with the Ducks. Sudarshan Maharaj. Are you familiar with this?
I am not familiar with him.
Yeah, so he's obviously a Muslim, and he spent the last several years in Sweden as a goalie coach. He's back in the NHL as a goalie coach, and it's on Sportsnet. So
Okay.
definitely check it. It says it's the Big Read fighting racism on his way to the NHL. It's a really unbelievable story of like people like setting his car on fire and all kinds of crazy stuff that he dealt with. And he seems like a great guy. So just something to check out. It's on it's like I say, it's on sportsnet.ca. And I would definitely check it out. It's just one of those things I won't even get into, but you should read it.
Yesterday, the Leafs got a bit of a reality check, and I think it was sort of imperative for them to have that after, they're flying high. They win 3 games in a row. They beat Edmonton. They bowl over a bad Vancouver team. The LA Kings come into town with Peter Budaj in goal, and he played pretty well, but the Leafs didn't have many shots. They couldn't generate a lot of offense against a bigger, more experienced LA Kings team. And you see what a team that has good defense, that has a top 3 of Muzzin, Doughty, and Martinez can do, and a team that has 1, maybe 2 decent, good NHL defensemen, and then a lot of question marks. And a guy like Martin Marincin goes -4 yesterday, and they lose 7-0 to the Kings.
Right.
There was a game where it was men versus boys.
Yeah.
It's part of the learning process, and there's no reason to panic. But for the euphoria that started to spread a little bit in Toronto, that, oh my God, this team can compete for the playoffs. Cool your jets. A lot of learning going on here, a lot of talent, but you're going to have, they win 3 games in a row. They could easily lose 5 in a row and then come back with 2 or 3 in a row. So it's a learning process. And I think
here's the thing. Okay. So my initial thought about this is, since their defense isn't great, should they move Jake Gardiner out? Because even though he gets offensive points, he really is, and even though he's a +2 this year, he's mainly a negative on defense. And I kind of wonder if it's not better to get a different kind of defenseman for him.
I'm with you. He doesn't seem particularly. He's fast, but he doesn't seem quick. Like, to me, like I don't know what it is. That's my impression of him, at least.
He's quick, but I think the book on Jake Gardiner has always been hockey IQ. He doesn't have that hockey.
Yeah, he doesn't know when to join the play and stuff like that.
He's got immense skill. He's got the speed. He's a strong kid.
He's
got a good shot.
You have to think the game at a certain speed. He doesn't really think it at that top speed.
Let's
throw a couple numbers at you guys today before we get out of here today. And that.
Hang on, I think he was going to say one more thing about.
I'm sorry.
I'm just saying Gardiner is very tentative when he has to make decisions. He always gets caught on the pinch in the offensive zone, and it always leads to odd man chances. So yes, it would make sense for the Leafs to maybe shop Gardiner with a couple years left in his contract, make it $4 million. But I think the book is out on him that he's limited because of that high hockey IQ, and I don't know what they would get back. Right.
I don't know. I mean, he has value, but it definitely is not where it has been over the past couple of years. His value right now, and because there's a lot, we have seen an influx of defensemen like him into the NHL in the last couple of years. And, like I said, I think 15, 20 years ago, parents were telling their kids that they should be puck moving defensemen because we're seeing a ton of them right now. Like, it's like we're seeing this come in massive numbers. Go ahead, Mike.
Up until high school, he was a forward. He got moved to defense, I think, in his senior year of high school, and then at the University of Wisconsin. So there've been, whenever there's a defenseman in Toronto who can't play defense, they always say, "Well, put Thomas Caberlet at forward or put Ally Afraidy at forward." It doesn't work that way. So I mean, the suggestion has been to put Jake Gardiner at forward, and I'm like, you put him at forward, you've basically ruined any value he has as a defenseman.
Right.
Trained as a defenseman.
It's different. I mean, that forward defense thing, it does always baffle me that we don't see more of that switching like we saw with Brent Burns. It does amaze me that we don't see that, because when they're young,
Fedorov did it a whole season.
Yeah, I think that I'm surprised that we don't see more of it, but we really don't. The Manitoba Moose are hosting Star Wars Day, just throwing that out there. But here's 4 other numbers. There's 3 numbers that we're do 3 quick hit numbers that I thought were kind of fascinating today. Okay. Can you name the player in the NHL who has the least amount of penalty minutes in the last 200 NHL games played. All right, so this player has only 4 penalty minutes in that period of time.
Henrik Zetterberg.
208 games. Nope.
Can we get a hint?
And this player hasn't taken a penalty since November 11th of 2014. And he's on the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Tyler Bozak?
Nope. No,
Wow, he's a binger and he's on the Leafs and Mike doesn't know.
Isn't that something? He's a binger. I love that dude.
Well, it's definitely not Nazem Kadri.
Nope. Well, someone did mention that. Why, was Goodbranson not fined for death threats or whatever?
Did you say what position he played, or you didn't?
He's a
goaltender.
No, he's a forward, I think.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. I'm losing my mind for a second here. I'm almost positive he's a forward. Anyway, he's I'm trying to think if I can come up with any others.
Is it Peter Holland?
Nope. Let me see if I can come up with other clues for you guys. So, a couple things about this man.
Well, their turnover at forward is so much. It's definitely not Leo Komarov.
No.
No. I'm gonna hope he's a forward. I'm gonna tell you right now if he is. Okay, so he is a right wing.
Okay.
He went to Boston College.
He's on the Leafs?
He was 28 years old. Yep. He's in his second stint with the Maple Leafs.
I'm
born in Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Ben Smith.
Ben Smith. Thank you.
Ben Smith. Okay. That's why it threw me off. Ben Smith is playing center for them right now.
Okay. Still though, pretty crazy, huh?
Yeah, that's amazing.
And he's not a wilting flower. He's actually
just a smart player.
Yeah.
But I think he'd love to be called that by you, Mike. You should definitely write that. Write that he is one of those.
I'll make sure I do that next time I'm in the Leafs locker room.
Next blog, yeah. Next time
you're a wilting flower.
Say you're a lilting flower. Next number is 400, which you should know. Russ, come on.
The amount of electoral votes. No, sorry.
I really didn't pay great attention yesterday, but Rick Nash got a goal, so I'm saying
that's it. You got it. Rick Nash's 400th goal, and the next number is 38 plus. All right, and this number is a team that for 5 straight games has allowed more than 38 shots in each of those games for the last 5 games.
Toronto Maple Leafs.
Nope.
Wow.
New York Islanders.
Nope.
The Vancouver Canucks.
No.
Yeah, because the Rangers didn't have.
This will surprise you. This will surprise you.
Wow.
So it's got to be a team that's actually good.
Calgary Flames.
Very good. Nope.
The Chicago Blackhawks.
Very good. Nope.
Pittsburgh Penguins.
No. It is in the same division as the Maple Leafs.
The Buffalo Sabres.
Nope.
Boston Bruins.
No.
Montreal
Canadiens. How about that?
Wow.
They've given up over 38 shots in 5 straight games.
But it doesn't matter. Carey Price stops them all.
Yeah, so they're giving Carey Price's knee a nice workout. Thank you very much.
Right. All right, we're going to do the lottery simulator. Ready?
All right, let's do it.
Here we go. Thanks, everyone, for hanging out with us today. Really appreciate it. As always, we just couldn't, we can't thank you enough for everything that you've done. And thanks for listening to our craziness all day long, okay? So here's the lottery simulator. I'm picking the winner, and today's winner is Donald Trump.
Oh.
Remember, without the buzz, it is just hockey. We will talk to you soon.